So I'm delighted to be talking again today to Aimee Wallis, who lives in East Garston and is a bird rescuer. Aimee, good day. Good day to you.
Hi.
This time of year, everybody here in East Garston is absolutely captivated by the families of ducklings that scoot up and down the river, and we're forever counting them. So there's one clutch that was 11 strong a few days ago, but we're all worried now it's gone down to about 6. And this heartbreaking attrition happens year in, year out. And I'm so delighted that you've moved into the village, because I never knew sometimes you actually find a duckling that's been left behind by the mother.
Yeah.
And it's utterly, utterly heartbreaking, and you never know what to do to help. But I understand that you can help in this situation.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, nature's cruel, isn't it? I mean, let's remember that, there's a reason why ducks have so many babies, and that's the sad truth, that they're part of the food chain. They are everything sort of works in harmony with everything else. So although they lose quite a lot, you do get. I did have one female actually that raised about 10 babies, and she was really smart. She did it in a very quiet place. But yes, when you've got lots of houses around and different predators, birds of prey, things like that, it is tricky. But you will also get a certain amount out of the babies that were slightly weaker, or that mum can see there's something wrong with them underneath. So that's always a factor too. So if it's a baby that's been left or hasn't been able to keep up, then, and it looks sort of well enough, and you've managed to catch it, ducklings are they're gorgeous little things, but they are so used to having one-on-one with their mum that you can't really leave them on their own. You can do this. It's really tricky. It's very interesting. I've had 2 ducklings in this year, and one I had from day 1 or day 2, and I made sure that I had him next to me in a basket. For example, he was in a little carrier next to me, and I made sure he was really cozy on a heat pad, plenty of chick crumb, which you can pretty much get anywhere, and heat is a big thing. They've got to stay nice and warm.
Yeah.
First and foremost, obviously, try and get them to a rescuer, but until you can get them to a rescuer, do keep them warm. She was great. She stayed next to me, and it was at a sort of 2 foot away most of the time. And if I go out in the car, she'd sit on the car seat. She'd be great. And then I got another duckling in where the person who had found her had her for nearly 2 days. And again, 2 days old, but she had kept the duckling in the crease of her neck.
Blimey.
or down her top. So, bless her, she did the right thing. But as humans, we can't possibly provide the same amount of closeness as the mother could. So, and the difference between the two, one was incredibly clingy and stressed, so much so that you couldn't leave him for more than sort of 2 minutes without him, hyperventilating without you. Whereas the one that I'd kept at a sort of safe distance where she could see me, far more confident, far more relaxed.
Oh, interesting.
It makes our lives as rescuers a little bit easier if you don't have skin-to-skin contact with them from the off. But as long as you're keeping them warm and fed and they can see you, then it's a lot easier for us. But yeah, they are hard work ducklings for sure. But they're normally pretty hardy. You can normally bring them around, and providing they haven't drowned or they haven't had anything horrendous happen to them, and they haven't got any water on the lungs, which you should be able to hear from their squeak. It's sort of like a cough sort of thing. But again, call your local wildlife rescuer. If it's near Newbury area, it'd be me. If it's near Swindon, it'll be sort of Oakham Furrows. But yeah, that's the.
And then how long do you keep them before you can release them, and how do you release them?
Right. So another important thing is ducklings are used to being brought up with, as you say, between 5 and 10 others. So they desperately need other duckling company. A single duckling and you raise it by yourself, will imprint on you, and you'll find it really hard to release. So, you know, unfortunately, due to circumstances at the moment, you know, I've got a single duckling, and I'm going to be hunting around for other ducklings or other places that rescue them to try and find her company, because she can't get too attached to me, because it makes it a lot harder for them to be wild. So I wouldn't advise that anyone does singly. I mean, if you have 2 or 3 and you've got lots of time and you don't work, then yeah, great. And you can take advice from a rescuer over the phone, and you have a pond and you have a sort of a rabbit hutch style thing outside, then yeah, great. You know, give it a go, but always under the advice of a professional, you know.
I caught one. Well, I didn't catch it. It had been left behind, and I ran down the river to try and get the mother to go back to get it, but she was off, and so we picked this little sheep, and the sheep just goes straight through you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I don't know what we did. We had it in a shoebox, and I just didn't know what to do. And I ended up just putting it back out where I found it, thinking there's more chance the mother will come back and find it if she can hear it, rather than having it in a conservatory.
That does sometimes happen. Sometimes it's because they are weaker and the mum won't go back for them. It's not that the mums are stupid or that they don't know what they're doing. It's sometimes quite poignant, you know, why they've done it. There's something else underlying or going on, that they're not quite strong enough.
Gosh, so the mother will cull her own babies, the weak ones, for the benefit of the rest of the brood.
Yeah, it's the same with all animals, I think. Yeah, I don't know an animal that doesn't do that. Yeah, it's quite, well, apart from corvids, actually, but I'm a bit biased. But yeah, they tend to be a bit more emotionally attached. But normal nature will normally cull off the weaker ones, yeah.
Yeah, I guess without an NHS service to look after them, they don't have much choice, do they?
Exactly.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room, which is cats?
Yes.
We, as owners of 3 cats, we are desperately mortified every time our cats kill something, especially if it's a bird. Don't mind so much if it's rodents. And there are some things that cat owners can do to mitigate this. The RSPB publishes certain guidelines to do with when you feed the cat. So when what times of day are birds most vulnerable?
Okay, so what happens, the process of nesting birds is that the babies are obviously born and hatched, and the parents are going in and out to feed. During this time, some cats will be smart enough to find the nest and see the parents going in and out, and they'll be stalking the nest, and, you know, they'll go and take the babies out of the nest. If you've got a cat like this, I mean, I would strongly suggest that you keep it indoors as much as possible during spring in the daytime, and let it out at night so it can't actually see the parents coming and going from the nest. I do know that people have lives. I do know this is really difficult. But I mean, if you've got, I've known some cats that are what you call like a real serial killer kind of, you know. And if you've got that severity of that want to go and kill, you know, you've really got to take responsibility in spring, because, you know, cats can decimate wildlife. I mean, you know, if you've got one like that, I would strongly suggest you keep it in spring as much as you can in the daytime.
So at night, I thought they did a lot of damage at night, or is that more for rodents than birds?
Yeah, it's more for rodents, I would say. Birds are normally all tucked up at night. They're normally up somewhere high and safe, and they've got the parents with them in and around the nest. I mean, even when they're fledging, the parents like call them up the branches, even when they can't fly. And they get them up as high as possible. So they're at their safest at night time. Okay. So that is the best time to let your cats out. And it's pretty natural for a cat too. They normally hunt at night. They enjoy hunting at night. So that's normal for them too. They love lounging around in the daytime and sleeping. Yeah. And giving your cat lots of treats in the day is a great idea. You know, making indoor fun things for them to do. And just giving them lots of attention in the daytime.
It's just hard when in the summer, you know, in the spring, and you've got your windows and doors open.
Yeah,
you know, I just find it really difficult to keep them in. And so the RSPB talks about sunset and sunrise, and after bad weather clears, that's when the birds are more likely to come and feed. Is that?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The fledglings, once they're out of the nest, they cannot fly. So I just want to make that clear, because I get a lot of calls from people saying, I found a bird, it can't fly. And it's more often than not, it's a fledgling, and none of them can. They're all learning to fly. So they'll be very fearless of everything around them. They don't know what anything is. They won't be frightened of humans. They won't be frightened of cats. And this is when it's prime opportunity for a cat to get them, because they're just sitting ducks, you know, and they'll be learning to fly all through the morning, the day, you know, the afternoon. So they're vulnerable all day as far as fledglings are concerned. Yes, but morning time is when they're I suppose most excitable, when they'll be feeding, when they'll be less concentrated on predators, I suppose.
Yeah, and presumably they're fearless. They don't understand what a predator is until the parents can teach them.
Exactly. So the parents will do an alert call, and then the babies will know that there's something wrong, and they won't necessarily know what it is, but they'll know there's something wrong. So, I don't know if you wanted to go on to talk about the main thing is the collar that we were looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so this collar, it's a fairly new thing, and I don't think it's a big company either. But it's somebody that's had cats that have obviously been predatory, quite regularly. And the problem with one bell is cats can control the bell in hunt mode. They go very slowly and sort of stalkerish, and they can control where the bell makes a sound. But this is a multi-bell collar, and it's actually very cute. May I add, it makes your cat look like it's in the circus. It's like it's wonderful fabric and lots of bells inside, so it's multi-tonal.
So it's a bit like a ruff, like a in the circle. Yeah.
It's like a clown's collar, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
It's like a sort of, that ruffled sort of effect, but it's great because it's got multi bells, and so the cat can't control it. So wherever the cat goes, the birds will know, and they'll be able to pre-warn everybody because they will work together to sort of warn them when the cat's coming. So I think they're great, and apparently they work really well. I've had one lady that had 2 cats that were killing every day, and she said they haven't caught anything since. So it's incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Incredible.
So what I'll do is I'll include a link to that collar, because it's available on eBay at the moment. I'm wondering once we get one, we can figure out how to make them. Might not be too difficult. But I'll add that onto our Penny Post article about cats and birds. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's also safe for them as well. They don't get caught up in it. It's got a snap that comes off, so if they get caught up, then it's safe for the cat too.
Yeah. Okay, that's obviously important. So, and the other thing we were talking about is feeding birds, whether to have a bird feeder in your garden if you've got cats, whether just to have it high up and out of the way.
I mean, I don't think, what I was going to explain about that is that you are setting up, where there's a food source for birds, they will create their home around it. So they will create their nests there. They will bring their babies to your feeder, which is lovely. But it will also be such an easy meal for a cat, an easy opportunity for them. So you're kind of creating a setup where, it's easy for the cat to do that. So I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you've got a balcony and you don't have a cat that wanders around and it's not going to be anywhere near that balcony, fine. But if you know there's a lot of cats even in your area and you don't own a cat and you know that next door has a killer cat, it will be using your feeding station to hunt.
Even if the feeding station isn't accessible to the cat, what it is doing, it's encouraging birds to nest and live in that area where the cat is.
Yeah, precisely. So you're just bringing in more morsels, unfortunately, for the local cat. Yeah.
No, it is really sad. I mean, there's some countries, Australia, I think, have banned cats.
They have. There's a lot of people with cat aviaries, and I've seen some amazing ones online where they have these great big, like hamster wheels almost for them, where they gallop inside it, and they've got like sofas in there, and I guess they've got great weather too, which helps. But because I just think they were bringing the population down by millions.
So when you say a cat egg, do you mean a big hamster wheel big enough for a cat to go in?
Yeah, it just fits up against the wall, and it's got like fake kind of mossy grass stuff on it. And my friend had one in her lounge actually. She's got a house cat, and Theodore, and he absolutely loves it.
Okay, so if you have a cat that you absolutely promise you'll never let outside. Yeah.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you want your cat to have freedom, and and I was saying to you earlier, Penny, about my cat that I had for 18 years, and he didn't kill birds purely because we used to get the chicks and put them all over him and sort of
acclimatise him. Yeah,
and it worked so well.
I mean, we've done that with our chickens and our cats. So we train the cats to realise that the chickens were part of the family, and that they weren't prey. But obviously, you can do that with a chicken. I don't know how I would do that with a blue tit or a blackbird, unless as you've got some that are that you can handle.
I mean, the best thing I think is I did offer, and it sounds absolutely like a harebrained idea, but I went to Cats Protection League in Newbury, and I did say, if you have kittens, bring them along, or I'll bring one of my birds here. And crows and rooks and jackdaws are a lot more sort of confident and cocky, especially ones that I've had that can't be released, because they're very humanized, and they're not scared of cats one bit. So I think that they would kind of bring the dominance level to a kitten, and regular little meetings with them, on a weekly basis. If anyone's got a cat and they don't want them to kill birds, I'd be more than happy to do a project and a bit of research and see if this actually works, because it wouldn't be putting my birds at danger, certainly not, because they're too big. And I'd be more worried about the cat, to be honest. But, well,
I think if anyone's listening who like me is a cat lover and a bird lover, I think that's a fantastic idea. Would they have to be kittens, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't risk it. I mean, you could bring a cat into an area where the birds are behind bars as such. They're in the aviary and the cat's on the outside, and just get them used to them. And just a little bit of healthy fear around birds. Yeah. That's what happened with mine. And and he was fantastic. 18 years, and never killed a bird in 18 years, which was incredible, really, because we had plenty.
Blimey.
But he was used to lots of different types. So
And we haven't talked about dogs. I don't know if dogs hunt the same way, do they? I mean, usually they're within the owner's control more than a cat.
You would think so, but no, I do get. As a rescue centre, we are probably about between 70 and 80% of what we get in is cat attacks. So that's a massive chunk. But we do get, I'd say, 10% of that is dogs. So I've got some people that call me every year and say, my dog's got another baby blackbird, or it tends to be slightly bigger birds, not really the songbirds. But they have to actually physically remove the nest, because obviously birds nest in the same place every year. So I've had a few families where they've had to take out the nest from their garden. The dogs just been killing them as soon as they hit the ground,
Yeah.
So they do it too. It's not just cats.
No. Gosh, well, it must be heartbreaking for you, Aimee, when you go to all the trouble to catch something, or you see the destruction that these pets do. It's
frustrating, because I'm an animal lover, and I love cats and I love dogs, but I don't believe they have a place amongst nature as such. I know it's a natural behaviour for them, but I think nature needs all the help she can get right now. So I do think that we've really got to think carefully about being responsible cat owners, for sure. If we have to have them, then we've got to be a bit more responsible than we've been in the past. There's people breeding lots of kittens and having feral farm cats to control their rats and things like that. And that's a big part of the problem, because they're also decimating all the countryside wildlife around them,
The cats aren't just eating rats, they're eating everything they can find.
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
Yeah. It is difficult because we have an awful lot of rats in this area, or the rats. I read an extraordinary statistic. The rats around here are immune to poison levels.
Really?
They need stronger poison to kill them than in a lot of other places. Presumably because there is, I don't know, just lots of racing yards and farms and stuff where there's a lot of poison in the environment, and they build up immunities.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated old web of life that we have to deal with.
Yeah. It is.
How is your, just moving on to the rest of your bird rescue? I know that you're still hopefully looking for some land.
We are. We're desperately looking. We're in a really tricky situation at the moment because obviously with the COVID-19, we've we're both not working, and we can't move any animals at the moment unless it's an emergency rescue. We can't, even if we found any land at the moment, which is probably the last thing people are thinking about. I'm hoping that our landlady will be lenient with us and understand that. But no, we are still desperately looking for an acre or two for our sanctuary. We don't know how long we have now.
Because the place you are at the moment, there's an end in sight to your contract with them. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you get a stay of execution in the circumstances. But so if anyone listening knows anyone, the only thing you need, I think, is a water supply. Did you say?
Yeah, just a water supply. It's just wood and wire aviaries that we have. They're all underwired underneath, and then we normally put some shingle on top. And it's not. It can be in the middle of nowhere as long as it's got water. And we just want to be as secure really for the future as we can. A contract would be great, and it's only me and my partner that go there, so we're not open to public or anything like that. So it's very quiet. It's not we don't really impose too much, but we have to keep it quite quiet for the birds. So if anyone's a keen bird lover and wants to help the environment, then and they've got land that we don't use, then that'd be fantastic.
Okay, and what's the best way for people to contact you?
Definitely on the Facebook page, which is called the Dawn Wild Bird Rescue.
And if people aren't on Facebook, sorry, if people aren't on Facebook.
Yeah, you can pop my number on your link if you like, Penny.
Okay, well, shall I read it out now? It's 07533 070155. Lovely. All right. Well done, Aimee. And I've just ordered 3 of those cat collars.
Wonderful. Let me know how you get on.
And a reminder, if anybody's listening has got a kitten. I mean, we did train our adult cats with our chicks and chickens, and it seems to have worked. So they were adults. We used to sit in the garden when the chicks were old enough to go out on the lawn, and the cats. We used to sit and work in a chair in the garden with a water pistol.
Water works brilliantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
So give the cat, as soon as the cat started to stalk the chickens, they got a little shot of water.
If it works.
Exactly. Yeah. Lovely. Well, keep up the good work, Aimee, and thank you so much for your advice.
Thanks, Penny. Thanks very much.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.